Well, today Andy was very honest in sharing his class origin, which was evident by the setting where he works, the environment. He mentioned his father was the CEO of a company that is clearly upper middle class. He could be, uh, like many of the uh, generation that comes after the boomers, the X generation, downwardly mobile to a certain extent, but not lower middle class. Lower middle class at this point is the one that has suffered more from uh, loss of jobs, security, income, and that's where the hard right uh, that say hates immigrants, racialized communities, embraces patriarchy, uh, hates globalization. This is the class that nurtures these movements. My opinion is that he doesn't belong at all to this class. And contradictory opinions are due to this upper middle class position that is very difficult to navigate because loss of status for those that come from an upper middle class is very hard. It's harder for those who come from the lower middle class because the effects on income, wealth, influence are very real. So this is very honest. One could see that with that number of uh, records and tales that your parents buy you records when you're a kid, and the beautiful places where he's at are not typical of middle class at all, even in England, which is a wealthy country. Um, of course, we'll have to not only guess it through observing objects, goods, but also knowing about income and wealth, property. In any case, it was an honest tale of or story of class background. Here I'm going to agree and at the same time challenge the notion that the music of the 60s in the UK was musical appropriation from the United States, even from the African American music, including the blues. Because the transformation was so extent, it's so different. They brought so many different components to the rock and roll and blues original records that they listen to, that I would not call it a copy, starting with Led Zeppelin. Say rock and roll is very different from Chuck Berry, Johnny B. Good. The drums, the guitar, the singing, I wouldn't call that appropriation. Similar, the great contribution of Eric Clapton to the growth of blues rock with louder amps, different guitar, different type of solos even. To me, is not an appropriation. In particular, that version of Crossroads live, where he does, in my opinion, his best solo ever, with great timing and great passion. It's not a copy of Johnson's Crossroads. It's something qualitatively different. Call it blues rock, and definitely the base of Jack Bruce. So I wouldn't be worried about that. On the other hand, when in the recording we hear Eric Clapton saying, or somebody else at the end, an Eric Clapton blues, that is not okay. The blues originally is from Robert Johnson. But I would not criticize Clapton for this single event because he spent a lot of time, and Buddy Guy has recognized that endlessly, calling attention to the originators of electric blues, B.B. King, Freddie King, Albert King, Buddy Guy. So, and the same for the Rolling Stones. They give credit where credit is due, starting for the explanation that their name comes from a song by Muddy Waters. So, in fact, they reintroduce or they introduce black urban electric blues, especially the Chicago style, to US college or middle class white audiences. So I would not criticize the British explosion or for that. The Beatles themselves went beyond Chuck Berry and introduced Indian classical European orchestration, studio effects, psychedelia. Other groups also, such as Procol Harum or Moody Blues, did similar contributions. Rolling Stones, to me, are the force that transform rock and roll into rock, particularly with songs such as Jumpin' Jack Flash. The first rock riff, I would say, is Satisfaction, or the Kings, You Really Got Me. But Jumpin' Jack Flash has a very special bridge where there is a modulation, there is a modal shift that is blues oriented, kind of tension and release that's very lyrical and is very uplifting, like gospel. And I think here comes the rock. It's different from rock and roll because they brought this element not only of enjoyment or teenage excitement, but more transcendental. Keith Richards said that he was inspired by the medieval monks. I feel that the bridge in Jumping Jack Flash is really the beginning of rock per se, because of this effect, this sense of lifting, making a song a whole story of Britain being destroyed in World War II and a generation of boomers born after World War II that grew up in relative poverty, but that see a world that is becoming better, which is the effect of real labor, not real lefty government, not what they have now, that definitely they may use this left label, but they aren't. Why they use it is something very clear, because it has the prestige of that period in the past where Attlee and others did so much to advance the English working class and the working class itself, as in the book of E.P. Thompson. And those on the right like that labor continues to call itself left because it's a way to make the label lose its prestige because of what they are doing now. So they're both interested for different reasons in using the same label. But the case is, in my opinion, that Jumping Jack Flash reflects this optimism, hedonism that defines rock as opposed to rock and roll, which is more teenage excitement. Is like rock is more transcendent and is meant to attract older audiences as well, young men and women. So, and so that's the consideration of the originality of the British bands in creating other groups, sorry, other forms of music that depart from rock and roll and blues. Well, Cream basically is the origin even of jazz rock because of the Jack Bruce bass. And the rock would be rock blues Clapton and Ginger Baker, influenced by jazz, but are basically a hybrid of some jazz drumming and then his own originality and rock drumming that he invents. Then we have the psychedelia and the experimentation, which has to be credited to Pink Floyd, the Beatles, and of course, in the US, there is experimentation of Velvet Underground that brings another kind of rock that talks about real issues of troubles of persons, like an adult, mature type of lyric, and or more poetic, and maybe there is another the proto-punk style that also appears in the 60s in England with, in my opinion, the Who of the Live at Leeds. So all these contributions of different British bands to rock and the different types of rock, in my opinion, is a creativity that cannot be dismissed as appropriation. Some groups, of course, should, in good faith, give credit to the origin of their style, but it's so different in terms of sound, lyrics, even harmony, melody, that the issue of appropriation doesn't have a lot of weight as an argument, in my opinion. And the contribution of UK in the creation of what we call rock is very solid. And also there are groups in the US, but maybe the leadership as a whole comes more from the UK, in my opinion. For rock, we're talking about rock and its different specialties in the 60s. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.